Hello YouTube, Fran's LD. Y'all are down bad. Anyway, in this video, before you pull on Fran's LD, I'll go over them, give you some things to think about before you use your limited resources. If you're new to the channel, I play both JP and Global, and I use that knowledge and experience to help inform others. I want to hear your plans, so go ahead in the comments and let me know what you're thinking. While you're down there, leave a like on the video, subscribe to my channel, hit the bell so you don't miss a video, and consider becoming a member so you can get some custom emotes and I respond to all your comments. Lastly, check out my weekly stream, the Ranting Hour, pretty fun stuff. Link to the playlist in the card and the description. So let's talk Fran. She is a debuffer that does some damage. She's got a very strong single frame debuff. And once that is fully stacked, she does damage alongside it. It's easy to increase the debuff, just attack the target with a braver HP attack, and once it's at 5 or more stacks, Fran's abilities get upgraded to the plus versions, which make her hit harder. Her skill rework is pretty cookie cutter and gives her more skill uses and more brave and HP attacks on her skills. Fran's LD improves her debuff. It goes from topping out at 5 stacks to topping out at 10 stacks. You have to use your LD to make it go above 5, but once you're at 10, get some real tasty stuff like Brave gains reduced by 80%, HP damage up 30%, Brave damage up 40%, speed down 20%, defense down 40%, and range weakness. There's also 20% attack down, 20% magic attack down, and 40% M Brave down. This is a really impressive debuff. The spiciest being 40% defense, 40% Brave damage up, and 30% HP damage up. And killing off 80% of the enemy's Brave gains is niche, but when used properly is very powerful. But hold on, her call is different, but I'll go over that in a second. The actual attack is a AoE Brave plus single target HP attack 3 times. Fran gets a free skill afterwards, and this should be open with so the debuff stacks can go above 5, and also gets a damage buff attached to her normal frame buff, so she's hitting harder. After that, you're just keeping the stacks up with Fran and having her do damage. She's got the debuff armor, and her high armor split leans selfish HP. Fran can overflow pretty hard on her whip kick and her EX, so this is to help her do damage in that regard. Her calls are really what I gotta highlight. They are nerfed. You're still getting the 40% defense down in the range weakness, but at 10 stacks you only get 10% speed down, 10% brave damage up, 10% HP damage up, and a reduced 10% brave gains on the enemies. It's still ultimately a range weakness, brave and HP damage up, and defense down call, but not nearly as meaty when Fran is in the party. Additionally, if you're using Fran as an LD call and you want the good effects, you have to use LD first, or else the stacks won't be able to get to 10. And when the stacks are about to fall off, that's when you press the regular call to refresh the duration. So now for my analysis. Fran's strengths lie in her debuff, which has always been the case. You get her debuff to 5 stacks and you just build it up over time, which happens fairly quickly, and you're good to go. She's one of the simpler characters in the game, honestly. Her attack downs are very strong, especially if the enemy is doing magic attacks. And really, all that utility packed into one frame debuff is great. Using Fran as a friend unit is a great way to abuse the debuff because it's not the nerf version that the call provides. Bring her in, LD, have her AA a couple times if she's out, and even if she's in the party, she provides okay damage. You're definitely not in much danger because she's crippling the bosses so bad. And even if you do decide to use her as a call, 10% brave and HP damage up and 40% defense down in a call is a pretty good package. HP damage up will always be a damage increase. As for weaknesses, if you don't go full blue on her, her damage will definitely be underwhelming. And even if she is full blue, she's not going to compare to any BT damage dealers. If you are bringing her in the party, she's almost certainly getting swapped out because she has no party auras and her contribution is in her debuff. The call debuff being nerfed is a big rip, and while it is still useful, it's unfortunate. I gotta note that, it's really important. And the attack down and the enemy brave gain reduction is a bit less relevant than the defense down and the other stats. Nice to have, but for people who normally like the no boss turn, it's not going to really affect you much. If she's not blue, she's probably going to be a call or a friend unit in people's party. Potential teams, optimally, should be placed with range units because of that range weakness down, but that's not really necessary. That debuff is so good that it can work with anyone. She's more of that 3rd slot debuffer, so you definitely want to bring a primary damage dealer alongside her and another support, but Fran is super flexible. Balthier is poetically a great pairing for her. Noctis and Tidus have a lot of range damage. She might even be able to get Barret close to capping damage. Trey and 9 would appreciate her as well, though they're a bit outdated, and Prompto too. Fran's utility as a potential boss crippler doesn't scream out as shining to me in any future fights, although she does have buff extend on I think her skill 1 to let her hit the Machina orb. You can also go backwards and do the Jigron fight with her because of her stacking debuff. Yeah, otherwise nothing really stands out, but she's got so much utility that she could pretty much fit anywhere. What are my plans? I'm planning to get Fran just for the LD call because it's just, I love HP damage up calls, and that's really it. Decent call. I'm kind of middling if I want to use her in the party or not. Probably not, unfortunately. Again, her damage isn't all that, but having all that utility in the call, even if it's nerfed, is something I'm interested in. I did the same in JP and I got a lot of use out of that call, so why not? As for the fight, it's +8 when the boss takes a turn and they have 3 or more stacks of a debuff active, and it's +2 on range weakness damage. So once again, it's very possible to no boss turn this. You could do Sid Mao and then throw Kane up in the air with a enchant call active and you'll be fine for the rest of the fight. Eateroth plus Kane, Tidus and Korra get Fran's debuff up so Tidus can hit range weakness and then just go nuts for the rest of the battle. That's the popular strategy, but if you do let them get turns, they do some nasty stuff with Brave Gains and they can paralyze you and all that stuff, so you want to bring some mitigation. Their recast can mess you up because I think they frame their turns at some point, but if you go the no boss turn route, then there's really nothing to worry about. Prompto can hit that orb too. In JP, I ran Tidus, Saz, and Fran, and I swapped Fran out once her debuff was up for eject Fran and let Tidus go nuts. Bosses never got a turn, didn't think about it. In GL, I think I'm gonna let the boss get turns and run like Zac, Maria, and Saz or something. At least see what they do, because I know they paralyze you because they recycled this boss in Kryle's Intertwined Will, but I think I can live through that. So now, before you poll, what's my advice? This is not for people who've already decided, but this is for people who are on the fence. Again, if you're stuck on content, leverage the call to arms in Discord, get multiple opinions, ask around, etc., so you can use your resources effectively. So Fran is the last HP damage up call we get for a bit until Dark Knight Cecil at the end of the first month of C90, and Fran has him beat in terms of debuff length. So if you're needing more HP damage up calls, Fran is the way to go for sure. I don't think her damage is good enough to justify her in the party. I mean, obviously she can get by if you want to run her, but if you're broke, you can definitely live without her. Content's just going to keep getting easier, so that HP damage up call probably might not even be needed. So if you got some resources to throw, I'd consider it. That debuff can be very oppressive in parties if you build around it, but I also think if you're clearing content comfortably, you could probably live without her. That being said, running debuff teams can be pretty hilarious seeing the bosses do nothing. But again, if you're not going to blue her, her damage will definitely feel underwhelming compared to some of the other units you might have. And I think if you're a vet and you got enough good HP damage up calls and you don't really have a passing interest in Fran, I think you could probably leave this banner alone. Mog is on the banner and he's pretty outdated at this point as well. I might end up simping and bluing her armor, but probably not. Pain is around the corner and I'm much more interested in that kind of debuff, but I do want Fran for that LD call again. Ended up being very handy in current JP alongside my Tidus Kane team, so I can always be hitting weakness damage. And honestly, on the whole call thing, that might even be wholly unnecessary considering the C90 units get so many damage buffs, they can probably cap on their own without Fran's call. And by the time you might want to reconsider it, she does come back on Divine Bahamut with Precious LD and Burst, and that's a very good banner overall. So if you think you can live without her until then, you're not really feeling it, then yeah, go ahead and skip. But ultimately, that's all I got to say. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Like the video and subscribe if you haven't already. I'll talk to you guys later. Have a great day. Peace out.